right, so me on my +1 is very happy to be here. I know that you have all your belly pretty full, not like me cooking a baby, but you are full of the, eating and the flood. The blood is actually flooding here. So I want you to be with me here. So are you the Sustainable Tourism Community of the MED program? Yes, yes, are you sure? And you accomplished quite a lot of things, didn't you? Right? Yeah, okay. So I want you to stand up and say, yes, we did it. I'm serious. No, stand up. Stand up. You need your blood flowing. Come on. Seriously, what's wrong with standing up? Come on. Yeah, you've been sitting for another hour. Come on. Yeah, and you did it. Congratulations. You've done a wonderful work, and this is a convention for you. You are the sustainability community. You've been able to do all this work. These people brought you here, the Diputación and the rest of the team, but it's congratulations. Okay, there's still work to do. You can sit down now if you want. No, but it's congratulations on what you've been able to accomplish. But we love challenges, don't we? Okay? That's why we are in the business of sustainability. Otherwise, we'll go to the easy road. And as the presenter was saying, we would not take that train. And we actually have to take it because, as he was saying, there's no other train. So we know there's still work to be done. If you have seen Arnau's a slide with all these waves of problems that are coming over. So it's clearly, I'm not going to go on doomsday, but clearly there's a lot of work to be done. And I want to ask you, don't you know destinations where their biggest headache is, I need to build more parking spots? I want to, this protected area, I'm going to move it, and it's no longer protected, and now I'm going to build more hotels. And then olive trees, who cares about olive trees? Let's build a 5-star hotel. Don't you know destinations like that? You can raise your hand if you know. I do know. You don't know? Yeah? Exactly. So we do have a lot of work to be done. Or destinations that want more cruises instead of less cruises, okay? I know, it's a difficult point, but it's happening. And over-tourism is back, as you have been mentioned in these couple of days, back to usual places, but it has gone to new places that we're certainly not prepared for. They were not prepared for it. This is an example of a super small, less than 300 inhabitants in the Basque Country. And is on the other side of the mountain, that mountain there, there's an amazing beach. Everyone wants to go to that beach, but during the pandemic, if it was full, they were going to be kicked out. So young people were like, why would I go to a place that after 3 hours I'm going to be kicked out? Let's go to this place that people actually are accustomed to swim on the harbor, and nobody's going to tell us anything. Yeah, so what happens? That inhabitants and second home dwellers can no longer use their harbor because it's packed with people from outside of the village. And they're not French. They're 30 kilometers away from the village, okay? So they're visitors, domestic visitors, the really domestic visitor. Of course, we have some internationals, or they have some internationals, but we are creating problems really close to home, not just when we go abroad and we take a plane or we take a cruise. And of course, problems were going back to Croatia in last year. Problems were going back to Venice because we all want to go to these destinations. They're amazing destinations to visit. Now it is saying the opposite. But the thing is, we have to think on ourselves. And, okay, this is us, no? Our everyday life, okay? Probably you've seen my presentations. I use this lady quite a lot because it helps me explain. So this is us in our usual environment. So we probably go to work or commute a bit or take our kids to school or come back and go to the grocery shopping. And on Sunday, perhaps every Sunday, we go see our grandma, or plus wasn't grandmas also. So that's our usual environment. Then we transform into visitors. And the problem with visitors, as we were talking about, or the colleagues were talking about in the previous session, how do we know these visitors? We actually measure them based on 3-4 variables in most of our marketing departments, unless you have a lot of budget. So basically, we're trying to target huge chunks of people, not the ones that actually probably we want, but we're basing the decisions based on origin market, so probably we want Germans, and we want Germans hopefully with a certain motivation when they travel of this age range, and that are nearby perhaps a certain airport, so like, I don't know, Munich or Frankfurt, because we have a plane connection with that destination. And those are the 3-4 variables that we're going to be using with our huge, most of the time, marketing budget compared to what is left for what is supposed to be management. And in the end, I'm sorry to say, I'm an academic also, marketing is within management. It's not a separate concept. So marketing should be part of management. The problem is that, as Jeremy was pointing out, historically in tourism, everything has been marketing. And the biggest budget was the marketing people. And it's fine. There's a lot to be done there. The problem is that we cannot work with 4 variables if sustainability is something that we actually believe in. Because out of those 4 variables, where are any of the variables telling you anything about the sustainability of those people? No? If I take you as a group, that you're from many different countries in the world now, if I just take a cluster of the 4 of you, perhaps you are more sustainable in between the 4 of you than if I take 4 Germans, 45 years old, they like culture, and they travel in summer. It doesn't make any sense. And that's what we do. So we have to do surgical marketing. Surgical, sustainable marketing, obviously. What do I mean with this? Okay, you're in a restaurant, and you are with a kid of your family or someone else's family. And he order or she order a steak. Okay? A steak, yeah? And there's a little nerve on the side of the steak. What does the kid do? Take almost half of the steak out because there's a nerve and he or she doesn't want to eat it. Yeah? That's how bad we are in terms of marketing, okay? So that nerve is going away with a lot of meat that he or she could be eating, okay? So you visualize that surgical. So we have to be surgeons where we do marketing. We really have to research. And by the way, I have a company, but I'm not a market research company, okay? So I'm not selling market research. There are plenty of companies in the world that you can buy these products or research from. And we have to do buyer personas. I know it's time consuming and it's budget consuming, but otherwise, how can we actually say proudly and being honest, as Damia was saying before, that we're actually spending our money to bring discerning travelers, responsible travelers, travelers that are actually visitors, I should say, visitors that are higher yielding our companies, if we don't know if the variables that we are at hand to be able to use are not serving that purpose. So that's what it means when we say, and the colleagues previously also said, and you've been for 2 days saying, that we have to talk on indicators that help us make decisions. Those are the indicators that actually help us make decisions. And responding to Jame's question that he posed this morning, it was very good. He was saying, we are spending a lot of money in these projects, in MED program and so on and so forth, on indicators. How is it possible that we don't have now a clear response on how to measure sustainability? Well, I don't have the response on how it's possible we don't have it yet. I know it, but I'm not going to say it. But what I see as the future that happens is that we are very close to the UN validating what has been proposed to them as sustainable measurement of tourism. And once that is proposed, my dream is, and I hope that it happens, that Eurostat takes that on. And that's it. It's super simple to happen? No, obviously, but it's close. 10 years ago, when I started in this business 18 years ago, that was impossible to be thinking like that. So, well, it has taken us a bit of time compared to automotive industries and others, but we are on the path to obtain that information. So, are we brave enough to act? And what I mean is, if you think on Dubrovnik, and I have colleagues here from Croatia, the mayor of Dubrovnik, recently elected, he calls up CLIA, okay? CLIA, Cruise Association, and says, hey, we have an issue, you know? And the mayor of the city, you know, yeah, of course we know. Okay, so we have to sit down. I cannot have these many cruises whenever you want, flooding my streets. No. Let's look halfway, you know, actually a win-win situation where you do your business, which actually creates business in my city, but actually doesn't destroy my city. Because now the publicity that Dubrovnik was having at that time was, don't go to Dubrovnik because it's packed. It's packed, it's impossible. The experience is visitor experience. And remember, the word is visitor, not tourist, because excursionists, there are plenty, and cruise passengers, actually, most of the time, they're excursionists. It has to be improved, okay? So why this worked? Because the business sector also understood the call. And they say, yeah, it makes sense, because it's the first time in our lives that an actual main city has contacted us to do something about what we do, being concerned, not telling us, don't come ever again, but say, you can continue coming, but we have to organize when are you coming and with how many people. Are there things that can be improved in this policy? Of course, there's always criticism. But it's a move forward that is blunt, that is really brave. And why did the private sector see, okay, it makes sense to me? Because they're actually telling you that your business is going to be sustainable over time. I know that we usually, from the public sector, think that the private sector only see tomorrow and today, but it's not true. I'm an owner of my own company. I'm 38 years old. I would like to have my business running for quite a lot of years. So if I receive this kind of a call, I'm understanding what they're saying, okay? So I want to invest in my future long run. Another example, Venice did ban big vessels, okay? Much needed action. Another brave action. Everyone probably here we can say it took them too long to take the decision. Fine, okay, I understand. But they took the decision. This is, when I'm saying being brave, this is what I'm talking about. And this is also public sector working with the private sector to take measures. And something I didn't mention about Dubrovnik that I should have mentioned is not only the cruises. What else happened on the streets of Dubrovnik? That people were walking and you would find terraces. No, terraces of different bars, so you had to squeeze here because there's a terrace, and then like this, and then there's a note board here of, we sell coffee and blah, 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 and people trip over. So another thing that the mayor and the team did was, okay, that's it. In these streets, there's not going to be any terraces because we can't have them. So it has to be, and it was, a dialogue with the private sector on many other changes that they had to do. And the private sector said, okay, but there are other things that we would like to improve also. So it's not only prohibited from having a terrace. We also want to work forward with you so that our businesses are thriving. And why did they say yes to this, apart from the fact that it was a law? Because they saw that the visitor experience was going to be improving. Because at the time, they were getting people sitting on the terraces like this because they were seeing too many people around them. They were not having an amazing visitor experience in those terraces because it simply makes sense. What if you're not a big city? It's not a matter of a scale, as you were mentioning yesterday. We don't have to be only brave when we are a big city and we have a big budget. We can be small. Here in Catalonia, this is a very close to home example that probably you know of. So this is in a stretch of sand that is naturally, obviously protected. And the issue is not people. The issue is the cars. Because it takes like 30 minutes to go from the municipality to this part of the world. And in order to enjoy it, most people, what they use is a vehicle. The vehicle pollutes, and if they're badly parked, they prevent emergency cars to come over. Well, it's a disaster, you know what I mean. So what they did is set up barriers. The mayor was fed up with this situation and said, okay, let's look for different quotations from companies using solar panels or some sort of environmental because we cannot bring electricity there, okay? Has to be a temporary thing that only happens from Easter to September. So those barriers are sun-powered, and residents are going for free, but for the rest, there's a fee that has to be paid. Of course, if you are enjoying the activities of surfing and so on and so forth that are over there, you're not paying either. And what they are doing is, if you book online and you book in advance, there's a discount. Because what they want is visitors to think in advance where I'm going to be having a great experience. So educate people. We don't have any issue booking in advance to go to a concert, to go to a theater. Why do we have problems on booking in advance when we are enjoying nature? Why is it so difficult to book in advance, okay? So this is a solution from a city hall that is pretty small, and they are being brave nonetheless. So this is when I'm talking about being brave, and they didn't do it alone. They reached an agreement with the private sector, with the companies that are based there, because they don't want to damage the companies that are there because they create employment. So they've done it together in terms of what kind of a price range you think is feasible, how can we connect to your system, so to the companies on surf and kayak and all of that, the system of booking of that company so that the full two systems of parking and the kayak and all of that is connected so that you're not asking the visitor to book in 3 different places to enjoy Trabucador, okay? So they did it really well, working private sector and public sector together. Also, another example is a company that actually says, I don't want just people to enjoy my visit and enjoy what we do and what an olive tree is and the whole full process and taste it and enjoy the walk and touch and smell. And no, I want them to be connected to my destination. I want them to go back to France or the UK or US, wherever they are from, and sponsor an olive tree because it connects them to my territory, it connects them to coming back, to know more about that, and in a few years or so, bring even more people to be part of the community, to create a community. This is what we're talking about. This is another example. Both examples are in Extremadura. And this is companies also thinking, okay, so the public administration is telling us that there are certain parts of the destination that are packed with people. What if we can bring in experiences to places where they're basically losing population? We're not having the young people staying there. There's nothing to be done, so let's recuperate that heritage, that history in an immersive experience. Or taking the elders. The elders are always forgotten, okay? And taking the elders in experiences that are for any public in the end, because they're going to nature, they are collecting what they're going to be eating and learning how to cook, okay? And this is an experience in Germany as well. So it's the whole thing about, as we were talking about before, researching so that we are actually finding those discerning visitors and creating immersive experiences for them, and acting so that actually it diverts flows, or you ask them to book in advance, or you no longer let them park where they were used to be parking. This is another example from the private sector. This is in Patagonia, in Chile. I know this is in Spanish, don't worry. This is because this is the slide that he uses. This is the owner, Bernardo, of the company. What you need to understand for those that don't speak Spanish is that all the things that are around the rectangular in the center are all the nightmares that these people are asking clients and the full process to be sustainable. So when you enter there, they tell you, you cannot use a hairdryer. You cannot use any of these straightened hair things because they are consuming too much electricity. You cannot use Wi-Fi, when actually he was doing a webinar with us from there, so there was clearly internet, okay? But they want people to disconnect. So they are doing the full process of waste management, reducing energy consumption, reducing water consumption. So another nightmare. When you think on the restaurant of the accommodation, you cannot order it from a long menu. No, because you're gonna be sourced from local suppliers. Local suppliers those days are gonna be having whatever produce they have. So you have to be used to, okay, this is sustainable. It's what Jaume was saying about orange juice yesterday, okay? So it's really local produce what you're gonna be enjoying. And contrary to what you would think is, okay, nobody wants to stay in that accommodation. Why would they? Are they crazy? No, contrary to that, employees are super happy because they are honest, because they know that it's not a greenwashing thing, because they know the full process. They are happy to chip in new ideas on how they can keep improving and being more sustainable. And the client's the same. The first party is a shock, that's for sure. When they get there, it's like, okay, this is for real. It's not a joke. Okay, all right, we'll try to survive. And then they enjoy it, okay? Not probably the first day, but then they enjoy it. So, and the reviews, you can check them online, are pretty good, okay? So they get their objective. So this is those people that we said at the beginning that many of you know that what they want to do is construct more parking spots, okay, for more cars actually, because that's what they want really, or they want much more visitors, whether they spend or not spend any penny in the destination. We have to move them from that train to the train that we want. Whereas, okay, I might not be interested in attracting that kind of visitor. I'm going to research the right of visitor, the kind of visitor that I actually want. And then my communication campaign is going to say, you're welcome. Everyone is welcome, of course, but be part of the solution. We are very committed to sustainability. This is everything that we are doing to be sustainable as a community. Be part of it. Be part of the solution. Okay, avoid halfway measures. I cannot name the destinations that I'm going to be talking about, but it's evident that this happens. This is a natural destination, for instance, a natural park, and there's a lovely young person, first, second job in his or her life, and he's there in a booth, and he's the person that is supposed to be saying, did you book to come here? And the visitor goes, oh, no, book? No, I haven't booked. Oh, sorry. Well, we are fully, so the quota of people that can enter at this time, you can enter in 2 hours if you want. No, I want to enter now. This person has no authority. Is not a figure of police of that territory. So what is he or she supposed to do to a full family of people that say, I want to enter? Nothing. So people enters. Perfect. No tech, so there's no physical barrier that actually says, okay, if you don't have a QR code to scan, it's not going to open the barrier, okay? So no authority, no tech, no impact. People keeps going in. And in this case specifically, I cannot name, the quota that was set for every 2 hours is 3 times what it should be. So even if we respect the quota, we're having no impact in limiting the amount of people that can enjoy the natural space. Okay? But it's super nice because we took a picture as politicians and we said, we have a system of booking system for our natural space. That's a halfway measure. And it's not even halfway, it's what, 5% way? So people access control in some places are implemented, and then we have no access control for vehicles. And then people park wherever they want. And then an emergency ambulance wants to get through, and it can't. No, but we have a booking system for people. Oh, super, super. What about the vehicles? Don't you think or resemble to something of the things that you have seen? So there's also a business of thinking, no, I'm working towards sustainability because I have a booking system for people. Okay. Let's really be brave to act and not halfway measures, okay? So we really need to understand our problem tree. Is our problem people? Is our problem vehicles? Is our problem noise pollution? Is our problem air pollution? What's our problem, okay? Or a combination of many of those. Then, are we know-it-alls? Anybody here is a know-it-all? Like you know about urban planning, you know about transport, you know about biology, I don't know what, and you know about tourism and about marketing? Probably not, okay? So dialogue with people that actually knows what they're doing, okay? Work with public sector from other departments, work with academia, and call experts, whatever you want, but work with people that actually knows what they are talking about to understand your problem tree and to look for solutions. Otherwise, you end up with the halfway solutions or even worse. Hybridization, that's where we are going forward in my company, and that's what we defend in that logic, so that you work in hybrids. But now our current situation is that we work in silos, really, and we need to act, because otherwise you're going to have lovely strategic plans. By the way, I do strategic plans, but I don't love doing them, and then it's a PDF that is going to be on Drive or OneDrive or, I don't know, Dropbox, okay? And nobody uses it for anything. So act on them, okay? So act now, take measures. And probably you fail. In some of those measures, something didn't work so well. Iterate, change. La Rápida, for instance, has implemented it in 2020, and then in 2021 has changed certain things, and in 2022 has evolved to a discount for early booking. Perfect. They are evolving. They know what it works. They know what it doesn't work, and they keep improving. Implementing surgical marketing, okay? Always surgical sustainable marketing. Changing business models. As Jeremy was talking and Damian was talking a few minutes ago and yesterday, also in the sense of climate change action, we have to change our business models. if we want a discerning visitor, we have to change our business models. We have to redefine our indicators. I'm not going to explain. You already know what I mean. And implement, surgical management, which basically would remember the steak logic, okay? The same, but go straight to the problem where we actually have, which doesn't mean losing the holistic view of your destination. Doesn't mean that. You have to have your holistic view of the destination, but you have to act where you have to act. Implementing participatory hybrid governance, which basically means residents have to be part of the discussion. Doesn't mean calling all the seniors that usually they don't see each other and they're going to be talking about nonsense. Not really, okay? They're not experts in tourism. But they are structures, there are associations, there are different structures and destinations that you know to capture the opinion of communities. You can do surveys. There are plenty of different processes and methodologies that you can do. You need the private sector. The private sector probably is fed up of you because you've been calling them every 4 years for many meetings and then nothing happened, okay? So you have to work a way so that the whole hybrid thing actually works. So thank you very much. Let's brave to act.